Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps, Jerel, Hendricks, back on the board as always here for our Week 6 preview show, talking all things South Carolina high school football. John, we were texting yesterday, Sunday, trying to get ready for the show, and we had a hard time narrowing it down to just a couple games of the week because this is another really big slate here in Week 6.
Yeah, a lot of really big games. And what's great about this part of the year, we've got some really, not only are they great games, they're great region games too.
Yeah. Going to be a lot of fun as always, guys. I appreciate you tuning in here on Facebook. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website, our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Every Tuesday night, we do a live preview show about 7:15 here on Facebook and YouTube. Talk about all the games across the state, including the biggest ones that upcoming week. We have great player interviews, coach interviews, all kinds of stuff throughout the week as well. So tune in and check us out on there. As always, get your Moving the Chains merch right now. We have some great T-shirts, a black T-shirt, navy blue, gray, pink. You can order that. We'll get it to you pretty quickly here. Also have some hoodies, kind of a lighter color hoodie here. Then also a gray one, darker gray for you as well. Lots of great hats, as you see back here. We have a black front Richardson hat right there. A couple gray front ones as well, different back options, and some more as well posted on our social media pages. We have some great toboggans getting ready for that colder weather coming, John. A little bit of crispness in the air today. I think the high was like 72-ish up here in the upstate, so certainly starting to get into that winter weather. Get your Moving the Chains sticker right now. Great for your water bottle, your laptop, your car, whatever. Purchase those. As always, you can email info@movinchains.com or send us a message on any social media platform. Love to have you supporting us and repping that whenever you go to games across the state. John, any other thoughts here as we get ready to roll into our CONA games of the week and then go through the statewide slate here in Week 6?
Yeah, I'm excited. Every week we see some really, really good games. We learn a little bit more about a lot of these teams. And of course, there's some surprises every week. And you keep peeling back the layers of the onion as we go through the season. And it's exciting every single week.
Certainly is and certainly will be tonight. Shout out to Armani right there talking about the Clover Blue Eagles down 23-7. Came back to beat a good Fort Mill team. They'll take on Northwestern this week. You're exactly right, Armani. That was a great win for Coach Woolbright's bunch. Have another test this week with Coach Walford and the Trojans. Tony Alexander says, shout out Keegan Reed of the Powdersville Patriots, Anderson Area Touchdown Club, co-offensive player of the year or week against Broome. 455 and a couple touchdowns. He had a big game. He's had a big season so far for the Patriots. Love what Keegan is doing there for Coach Muster. Brandon says, what's up, fellas? Good to see you, Brandon. Appreciate you joining us. Justin says, what's up? What's going on, Justin? Good to have you in here, man, as always. Kevron, appreciate you as well. Tuning in. Big win for your great Collegiate War Eagles last week. Travis Smith says, what's up, guys? Thank you, Travis, as always, for joining us. Courtney, good to see you as always, my man. We are doing well here in Week 6. Hope you are too. Chris says, what's up, guys? About the Indians getting done in Sparkle City. Friday night 2-0 in the region. Yes, that was a big win on the road for Coach Littlejohn's bunch. Nice to see them, have a really good performance like that and stay undefeated in that region play. Zach says, good evening. Red Devils are into region play this week as they're playing Liberty at home. Yeah, Liberty's a good football team. I think Clinton at another level, but we shall see as those two get together. Kathy says, we were out at Union County. Clinton won 60-0. Yes, they blew those guys out. The Red Devils certainly did last Friday. Patrick, appreciate you for joining us, buddy. Big win for the Indians last week. They look to keep it rolling this week against Eastside. Jerel, is that it, Jerel? I'm going to say that's it. Okay, as always, guys, we'll get rolling here. Our CONA games of the week, the statewide slate. We'll have our polls, our pick 'em, all that stuff later on coming out as well. But, John, let's get started with our CONA games of the week, 5 of the biggest games across the state. And let's start with, I need our stats to fact check us here, John. This game here has 2 teams that I do not think we have had in a CONA game of the week, maybe ever, since we've been doing this show. We're going down to the 1A ranks, and that's the Carvers Bay Bears, undefeated at 6-0, taking on the undefeated 5-0 Latta Vikings last week. Carvers Bay, a big win over Green Sea Floyd, 61-15. They're averaging 27 points per game on offense, only allowing 15 per game on defense. Latta had a bye. 2 weeks ago, they defeated that same Green Sea Floyd's team 48-2. They're averaging 44 per game on offense, 14 per game on defense, John. Last year, this game was a thriller. Latta won 34-28 at Carvers Bay. This year, we get these two squads undefeated over in Dillon County, man. What do you like? Bears-Vikings should be a fantastic ball game here on Friday night.
Yeah, this is an exciting matchup. But, last week was, Green Sea Floyd. You get your practice in against those guys, it seems like this year. Carvers Bay put up 61 points, but really the calling card for this team this season has been the defense. They played really good defense all year. And Latta, on the other hand, the Vikings, pretty prolific offensively. They've really put up some points every game this year. So good contrast, some good defense and good offense in this game. I think we're going to see another really close game like we saw last year. And what I like about Carvers Bay is they've been more tested. They have won 4 one-score ball games this year. That's a big deal. And, one of those one-score games is against a Georgetown team that's not very good, so that scares you a little bit. So I'm not sure how good they are. I think they are good, but the same goes for Latta. For the Vikings, they've only played one close game this year, beating Mullins 22-20, a solid Mullins team. But I feel like there's more to learn about this Latta team too. So this is a great matchup this week over in Latta. I'm going to lean with the Vikings being at home, being that they won last year too. We know that both of these teams are good. I'm just not sure how good either one is. But this will be a great game on Friday and a really good indicator for the winner and how good they are.
Yeah, I think they both play in probably what's the toughest 1A region in the state, John. I think, you got these two guys. You got Johnsonville. You got Lakeview. A lot of really good teams there. Hannah Pamplico as well is solid. So going to be a fun region to keep an eye on. But Carvers Bay, led by quarterback Christian Simmons, a 2-year starter, had a touchdown pass and run last week. Running back Kennard Hayward, 9 for 132 and a touchdown. Running back Julius McCray, 11 for 157, 3 touchdowns. A guy to watch, tight end defensive end, Jaquan Hanna, really freak athlete for them. He does a good job. Up front, led by Zion Giles, a South Carolina commit, a Shrine Bowler, a Super 75 guy for us. They ran for 476 on the ground last week against Green Sea Floyd's, John. That's what they want to do. We know that when you got a road grader like Giles up front, it makes a lot of sense to want to follow him for sure. Latta, led by in that game against Green Sea Floyd 2 weeks ago, Fisher Richardson, the running back, had 25 for 213, 2 touchdowns. Johnson had 8 for 92, 2 more touchdowns. Quarterback, youngster Luke Huggins had a TD. They totaled 432 on the ground against Green Sea Floyd. So both teams want to get it done running the football. Defensively for the Vikings, you got Zamari Bethea, Gavin Albin, and Rylan Gurley on that side for Coach Osmond's group. Two teams, you mentioned battle-tested, John, and that's a great word for it because Carvers Bay, we mentioned they're 6-0. They beat 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in higher classifications already. When you look at Georgetown, Andrews, Kingstree, and Walkamaw. And then Latta, they beat, I believe, 2 of their own, Marion and Mullins, that I know of. And I'm not sure East Columbus, I think it's North Carolina School. I'm not sure how big they are, but they beat some bigger programs as well. So both teams have kind of been through the ringer. But I like the way you said that the Carvers Bay they've been in those close games, and that there's something to be said for that. Like when you get hit in the mouth and you're able to hang in the fight there and overcome that and have a big win late, that can really do a lot for your confidence. And the next time you're in that game, you're not really worried about it because you've been there before. So they've kind of got that feel to them. I'm kind of expecting a low-scoring game in this one. I'm thinking somewhere in the 20s. Carvers Bay's defense has been really good. I feel like they've played a lot of games kind of in that high teens, low to mid-20s area. Latta has blown out a bunch of guys. I think they've won a ton of games by like 21-plus already. But I'm thinking it's a little bit closer here. I'm thinking a closer game. And, it's hard to go against the home team here because Latta has played so good. They look like the real deal. But defense travels. And I like that Carvers Bay defense a lot. I love what they do with Giles and Hayward and McCray and Simmons, ever Coach Richard. 2 really good 1A programs. I think we'll both probably have them in our top 5 here in a little bit. You'll see that. But I'm going to go Carvers Bay close on the road. I trust the defense a little bit more right now. But this could certainly be a game that Latta wins, and we're all afterwards say, hey, that Vikings team is for real. I think both teams are really good. could go either way here. But I've been banging that Carvers Bay drum for a while, so it's hard for me to go against them now. But we shall see how it goes on Friday. Jerel, who do you like in this one? What's the chat saying, man? This is certainly the 1A game of the week, I feel like, right here.
It's got to be. I was just looking at that region, more closely, and I don't think it's a dispute. Like, that's got to be the toughest 1A region, Region 6 there. So it's going to be some great fun following that as we progress through the rest of the season here. I'm going to contradict myself here. I'm not getting paid for the analysis here. I've been banging the Carvers drum, Bay drum the last few weeks. I've been ranking them pretty high in the poll. But I picked Latta preseason to come out of lower state, so I can't go against that. So I've been contradicting myself. I'm going to go with the Vikings in this one. They're playing at home, won last year. You feel like they've been knocking on the door. Like, you really feel like this is the year for Latta to kind of break through and make it happen. So I'm going to go with the Vikings. But we learned a lot about both teams. But honestly, with this schedule and this slate that's coming up for both of them, we're going to keep learning about them as we continue to progress here.
Yeah, I just mentioned we haven't had these guys in a game of the week before.
No.
We can certainly have them again here in the next couple of weeks because they both got Johnsonville, both got Lakeview still coming, so they could be a team, a couple of teams we talk about a lot more here as we continue to roll. But anything from the chat on this 1A matchup here, Jerel?
Yeah, for sure.
Justin says big Latta. I like the Vikings supporters in here. He's got Latta 42-21, and Latta 30-21 says Dion.
Yeah, that's pretty much for this game. We got obviously people wanting to recap this past week, so we'll
I will say this too. Teams. Thinking about this right quick, I feel like this game to me, it's one of those where if Latta's going to win it, it might be a 2-score, 3-score game. Where if Carvers Bay wins, it might be tight down to the wire. It's just kind of how it feels to me in my head, where it's like, hey, if the Bears win, it's going to be a last-minute tight one. If the Vikings win, they might kind of run away with it a little bit. So we shall see, man. Should be a lot of fun on Friday.
Maybe a low-scoring game favors Carvers Bay?
I think so. I think so for sure.
It's got to. Yeah, I think it has to for sure. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there.
John says Greenwood pulled it out. Good game. Yes, that Greenwood-Hillcrest game got really tight there late. John, I know you saw a lot of that one.
I watched that game. That was
a little bit, but certainly a good match over there at the Bab last Friday.
Yeah, Hillcrest made a great comeback.
Chris says Daniel, remarkable comeback as well. Yeah, that crazy game against Seneca, they come back in the fourth to win that one. Major says Daniel beat the allegations this weekend. Big win for them. David Helms says great to meet moving the chains at the Eagles nest. Yes, David, great talking to you last Friday, man. Really enjoyed it. Enjoy watching the Eagles get after it as well. It was a lot of fun, man, getting to talk to you. Charles says Wren pounded Woodruff. That was a really nice win for Coach Freight's bunch. And not even the offensive side, the defense that shut down Woodruff was what really looked good to me. That was an impressive W there for the Hurricanes. Wolfman says great games. He told people North Augusta great game to watch. Mike Doe went off. And North Augusta could have stopped the pass. Yeah, that was a fantastic ball game. Mike Doe had a huge game on the ground. Xavier Wright, huge game through the air for Gray Collegiate. Both of them could have been players of the week for us. Honestly, they had that two huge games there. I think 41-27 a final was a lot of fun to follow that one on Friday. Rob says, what's up, guys? Question, which region finished 3 seed to Straw? Straw finishes second in Region 4. I don't have that in front of me, Rob. I might be able to get it during the show, but if not, I'll try to comment later on with that on you.
I think last week we said 1-4 goes up, 2-3 goes down.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of which region they would play, though, in round one.
Yeah, we'll pull it up. I'll do some research during the break.
I don't have it in front of me right now, so we'll try to figure that out for you, Rob, and get back to you.
I'll let you know. And then, Noah, we're starting off games of the week, so we'll be getting to 5A once we wrap these up. Let's go to the next game, guys.
Perfect. Drill, and I sent you a note. Tell me if you can see that or not. Our second CONA game of the week here, a big one here that was a thriller, kind of an odd thriller last year, John, and that's Strom Thurmond traveling to the pit to take on Batesburg-Leesville. Both teams 3-2. I mentioned last year being kind of odd because that was a game that Batesburg-Leesville won 8-7, but it was a game going in where Strom Thurmond knew they had to win by a certain number of points to be able to get a home game and a certain seed in the playoffs. So they went for it late, backed up in their territory. They don't get it. Batesburg-Leesville scores and wins the game. So it goes down to the Batesburg-Leesville win, but it wasn't a traditional ball game in that sense. I guess you could say they're the way that they had to play it late. But Strom Thurmond coming off a 45-20 loss to Lincoln County. Batesburg-Leesville a 41-24 victory over Mid-Carolina. The Rebels averaging 37 on offense, 20 allowed on defense per game. They got quarterback Bryshon Lee running backs, they have a bunch of them right now. And Deontay Phillips went 8 for 72, 2 touchdowns last week. Wigfall, Rouse, they can also carry the ball for them. Receiver Shaheed Williams, a big game, 9 for 69 on a TD. They have receiver DB Caleb Simpkins. He's a stud. We love watching him play. Super 75 guy for us there. Defensively led by Simpkins, Williams, Bryson Coleman, Duger, and Braylon Searles. Coach Webb's bunch there. On the Panthers side, averaging 33 on offense, 18 allowed on defense per game. Running back Amadre Wooden, Super 75 guy for us, went 23 for 204, 3 total touchdowns last week. Quarterback Reese Boinke, 2 touchdowns as well. Receiver Katie Witt, Super 75 guy, North-South guy, two total touchdowns. Now the all-time TD receptions leader, I believe, for the Panthers as well, John, in their history there. Offensive lineman James Sawyer. Defensively, Witt had a pick last week as well. Defensive lineman Tyler Walton, Travis Gay, and Jaquan Corley lead a group of 23 seniors for head coach Greg Lawson there. John, these are 2 teams that, wanted to be in the top 5, wanted to be considered 2A favorites all season long. Both of them have 2 losses right now. That's not really a big worry because out of region, but this game is going to go a long way, not only for region play, but in my personal, poll here, this is going to tell me a lot about who I think can really win 2A, because these are teams that we've kind of not written off, but just kind of lost a feel for it, feels like the last couple of weeks. Yeah, and I think a part of that is the schedule that they both have played to this point. When I look at Batesburg-Leesville, I like this Panthers team. They certainly put themselves back on the map with the season that they had last year. But, I look at their schedule and I go, they played a good Abbeville team, but they lost. Mm-hmm. They played a 5A team or a 4A team in Lower Richland. They lost. I don't know what their best win is. They've kind of beat up on everybody else they played and haven't played anybody really good. Strom Thurmond, on the other hand, it's similar, but, they beat Silver Bluff 50-0. I don't know that Silver Bluff is that bad. And they beat a pretty solid Emerald team, 35-13 a couple weeks ago. We don't really know anything about Lincoln County out of Georgia. And they play a really, really good 4A team in North Augusta and get beat up. But that's, you can't really hold that against them. I feel like we know what Strom Thurmond has a little bit more, maybe. I feel like they're maybe a little bit more of a complete team at this point in the season. I want to lean Strom Thurmond in this game. It would be easier if this game is in the Peach Fields. It's not, so it's very difficult. I'm not sure what to expect in this game, but I'm leaning Strom Thurmond. But I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if I expect this game to be close. This is a game where I wouldn't be surprised if one blows the other one out. Really? I think there's a chance that one of these teams is pretty good and the other one maybe not. And there's also they both might be really good and they both not. Both of them might not be really good. But I think I don't know. I have a feeling one of these teams is going to win by 2 or 3 scores. Interesting. It's a tough place to play there at the Pit, man. That's a great atmosphere on Friday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. With Strom Thurmond, they're going to bring a big crowd as well. A couple things kind of stuck out to me, in the Panthers' losses, you mentioned them there to Abbeville, Lower Richland. They've kind of had some trouble stopping the run, it feels like. And that kind of worries me a little bit in this ball game here. And then also, Savvy Wooden not getting selected for Strombo or North-South. Does he use that as kind of as a motivation factor, kind of a fuel factor here in the last couple of weeks of going to region play? Certainly could be a key factor there for him and the Panthers as they get going again. Another key that I want to mention here, John, last week, Wooden, kickoff return touchdown. Katie Witt, punt return touchdown. Also, another one called back. So they had 2 return touchdowns last week in that win over Mid-Carolina. Watch out for the Panthers in the return game. That could be a key in this matchup. But for me, I feel like you mentioned it. If Strom Thurmond, I think if they stick to the run, if they let Phillips and they let Wigfall and they let Rouse and even get Lee involved as well, if they stick to the run here, I think they can win this football game. I think, if you start throwing around too much, you bring in interceptions, you bring in just, short drives, 3 and outs. You don't want that. I think if you stick to the run, I think you can win this football game on the road, which, helps take the crowd out of it too. If you have a nice long drive there, I think the Rebels keep it on the ground. I think they've got a good chance to win this one on the road. I'm going to go Strom Thurmond here. I think Batesburg-Leesville is kind of forgotten about a little bit, especially talk about guys writing them off. I think that was one team that kind of got written off a little more than others, but I think they are solid, but I like Strom Thurmond a little bit more right now. I think they're playing a little better football at this point in time. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the Rebels and the Panthers?
I'm going to make Chris happy. You guys got me? I know I have some mic issues.
Yeah.
Okay, going to make Chris happy for sure. I'm going with Thurmond in this game. But like John was mentioning, I feel like I still have more questions than answers about both of these teams when it comes down to it. So don't feel confident either way. I don't know how this game is going to go. You feel like it's two communities that are really close to each other. But man, I know it's going to be packed, a great environment, and that's tough to go on the road and win there. But give me Thurmond in this one. That's all I've got here for this one. I mean, I'm really struggling with the pick here.
I'm surprised we're all three going with the road team here.
That was what pissed me off part too. It's almost when you got to save the graphic here, when you want to
exactly. Well, they can save it. Like I don't feel comfortable picking either one, honestly. Yeah. I'm just gonna go with Thurmond. I feel like I feel like I know a little bit more about them, but I still got a lot of questions about this bunch.
For sure.
So yeah, we'll throw these comments up.
Brandon says, Jerel, we were wrong picking Abbeville over at Westside. It was a close matchup there, man. Y'all were on to something. I think it was 20.
I was feeling good.
And that was a late score as well by the Rams to win that one. Certainly a good ball game.
We'll talk about it more when we get to pick them up there. But I picked all of the teams that lost in the comeback fashion this past week. So I came back to the pack this week.
Quiet Storm says, expect a packed house in the White Walls of Dillon Memorial on Friday night. KO's going to go crazy line secondary. Dillon by 14 or more. Go Wildcats. We'll get to that game here in a minute here. Quiet Storm should be a fantastic one in 3A. Brandon says this is a tough one. He'll take Strom Thurmond by 7. Zach, people throwing shade at Sheely's barbecue should be banned no matter who you pull for. I agree with you on that. And I will say I did see a funny comment from Bulldog in one of the Facebook groups saying, I heard Sheely's fell off. Here comes the Rebels. It was pretty funny. But anyway, I like Sheely's myself, man. But it's all in good fun.
You got something disparaging Sheely's, you're going to get blocked from the chat tonight.
Dion says 35-14 Rebs.
Yeah, we got some clarity in the chat on that matchup with that weird division there when it comes to what Sherrall's going to do as well.
Gotcha. Lincoln County's a tough out in Georgia 1A. Should be playing D1 in November, December. Courtney said he's got Strom Thurmond 23-17. Chris has got the prayer hands up. Says
hope that works out for you. Let's go to the next game, guys.
Awesome. Our third CONA game of the week, a game we just mentioned here, the Loris Lions and the Dillon Wildcats. The Lions come in at 5-0. The Wildcats 3-2 over at the Dillon Memorial Stadium between the white walls. Loris coming off a 50-6 win over Saukesty. Dillon off of a bye 2 weeks ago. They had a big win over Hartsville, 62-35. The Lions averaging 48 points per game on offense, allowing just 10 per game on defense. The Wildcats, 44 on offense, 21 allowed per game on defense. John, you were at this game last year. Loris won a thriller, 30-27, their first win over Dillon since 1968. The Lions seem to be red hot. The Wildcats kind of seem to be hitting their stride, though, as well here, John, lately. Can Loris win back-to-back? Does Dillon kind of get their mojo back? What do you like here in this 3A region matchup?
I like everything about this game.
Yeah.
This was probably the most fun regular season game I went to last year. The atmosphere at Loris was awesome. It was a fire marshal's nightmare with how many people were at the game, lined up along the fence. It was awesome. And definitely played a part in the Lions finishing out that game, closing that game out. I think these are two really good teams. I think these are two teams. I think they're slightly different. Where I think Loris, he's got the continuity and some good leadership on this team that they're leveraging. Whereas Dillon, I think they've got a lot of talent, and they're continuing to build that chemistry and gel with one another as the season goes. They're going to get better and better. This is going to be an awesome game. I don't know. Whoever loses this game, they may not lose many more, if another one, the rest of the regular season anyways. But I tell you what, as good as that atmosphere was in Loris last year, you got to think it's going to be just that good in Dillon this year, because now it's revenge.
Yeah.
You know, they gotta. How many teams beat Dillon 2 years in a row? It can't be many. And Dillon seems to really has got it going now. Last 2 weeks after that loss against Wilson, I like Dillon because of the home field atmosphere. I like them because of the home field advantage. And Loras has it. If this game is in Loras, I think I'd go Loras for a lot of the same reasons. I think they're a pretty evenly matched group. It should be a awesome ball game. I don't know. I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of points, but I don't know. There's some good. That Loras defense can play too. You know, they got some big boys over there. This is going to be a really, really fun game. If you're in the PD area, go out to this game. This is going to be a really fun one.
Yeah, the Loras Lions, led by quarterback Zamir Moon Jerel, 11 for 16, 202, 4 touchdowns last week. John, on the season, Jerel, 19 touchdowns, 0 picks. You got to feel like if you're Dillon, you got to turn them over at some point to win this football game almost on Friday. Running back Khalid Sherman, 10 for 139, 3 touchdowns. Also running backs Roderick Persha and Deuce Stevens. Receiver Jacobian Grim Lewis, 4 catches for 99 yards, 2 touchdowns last week. Khalil Sherman, a touchdown and a pick last week. Defensively, defensive lineman Demaria Thurmond, a Strom bowler, and Landon Connor lead that group, along with Ethan Shaw and then Lewis on the back end. Dillon, freshman quarterback Kale Samfung-Talia, a name that you're going to hear a lot in the next couple of years. A big-time prospect already getting Power 4 offers here. I think he saw NC State recently, along with some other ones there for Kale, so he certainly get it done. He's got 12 touchdowns this season, just 2 picks there for the freshman. Running back Damo Felton versus Hartsville had 9 for 85, 2 touchdowns, also 60 receiving yards and another touchdown catch. They got receiver Zay Robertson, the UNC commit, a Shrine Bowler, Super 75 guy as well for us. Defensively, Kerryon Brown, 14 tackles, 4 TFLs, a pick 6 in their last game. And then linebacker Daniel Capehart as well, a Shrine Bowler. And then Kelvin Manning on the defensive side for that group as well. I mentioned it. I feel like Dillon started to play better. Had the tough loss the second half, kind of gave it away to Scotland early in the year. Lost a crazy Monday game to Wilson, but they played really well against Marion, played really well against Hartsville, got those 2 wins there, which really looked good for them. Loras, I think you hit the nail on the head there, John, where they've got a veteran group that's played a lot of football. Like everybody I just named there were key contributors last year. It felt like we had Lewis and Gerald and Stevens and Sherman. Like we knew all these guys already, and they're back and they're getting it done. They've blown everybody out, won every game by 20+. I mean, they're a very athletic group. We know that from last year, very big up front. One thing about them that I've noticed, I think you saw it last year in that game against Dillon, John, they make a lot of big plays happen kind of off schedule, I guess. When things break down, maybe there's a busted play or the line gets, gives up some pressure to Jerel. He finds Lewis or Sherman for a 60, 70-yarder. When it wasn't exactly, I guess, scripted, that makes sense. Like they make a lot of things happen kind of off schedule, big plays because they're so athletic, and that can certainly be a detriment sometimes, but certainly works out well for the Lions this season. They're a dangerous group, and I love what Coach Manson's done. This is a program that was, never really talked about much until he got there. He's really built them up, and they're a group now that, they expect to win. Like they are used to winning. They have done a really good job changing the culture there and really building up a really nice program there in Horry County. And I've said it the last 2 or 3 years. Right now, they're the best program in Horry County. Like I don't care what they are. They are the best one in that area. So hats off to him and that group. For Coach Roller's Wildcats, mentioned they're playing better and better. And I think they've got the athletes. They always do at Dillon. With Robertson and, with Capehart and Brown. They can match up okay, I think, out wide and in the back end. But I worry about the line. I don't know if they've quite got the experience and the size up front that Loras has on both sides. We'll see how that shakes out. So that kind of worries me. But like you picked Dillon because they're at home, one thing I had written down here was I'm intrigued to see how Loras handles a tough environment with a team that's in their weight class. Like they've blown out a bunch of guys this year. Teams are better than teams they should have blown out. But they're playing somebody pretty good this week, and they're on the road. And it's going to be a different animal for them. So really intrigued to see how this goes. And I'm probably done for doing this, but I'm going to pick Loras to win on the road to beat Dillon 2 years in a row. Like you said, I don't know how often that's happened in the history of the Wildcats program, but I like this Loras team a lot. I've banged that drum as well for a couple years now. I think they're really good. And I think that if this was a group that had a bunch of newer guys this year, I probably would not pick them. But the fact they've got a bunch of veterans with Grimm and Moon and those guys, I think they won't be super shocked by going on the road. So I like Loris ball game here. 2 3-8 teams I think can make a deep run in the lower state, but I like the Lions on the road. Should be a fantastic football game over at Dillon Memorial Stadium. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on this one? Wild game.
You know, I like jumping off the porch. I'll be dumb with you. I like Loris in this game. I think they're the better team. And that's where I'm struggling with this game. I think Loris is a better team, but then the psychological hurdle of beating Dillon twice. You hadn't beat them in like 50 years before last year. And then beating Dillon at Dillon in the White Walls. We know it's going to be crazy. Like John said, seeking revenge. It's going to be a Herculean task. But overall, I just think they're better. You have to think that last year's win gives them a bunch of confidence going into this game with a veteran group. And again, it's like a lot of these teams that we've talked about, because they're veteran, like this is their time. Like they have to win this game. They have to win these big games because it's going to be rebuilds next year and things like that. So again, I think that Loris program is great right now, but with the talent that you have stacked up, these are the types of games that you have to win, especially with the Dillon bunch this year that seems a little bit vulnerable. So again, me and Kevin might be dumb here for picking this one, but I like Loris. I think they're just a better team. It's going to be a tough task. And again, if Dillon wins this game by 50, I'm not going to be shocked.
And Jerel, we talk about the last time, I think that I can't remember who we picked in this game last year. But the last time Dillon had a big matchup at home, those Bulldogs from Marlboro County came in there and they whooped them pretty good last year, and we didn't see that coming. So Dillon has been known to play well at home for sure, man. So it's going to be a fun matchup. I can't wait to see how this one goes because this is going to be a great ball game. Zach says, don't pick nobody but Dillon to play to the White Walls. That's a good rule to live by typically, Zach. It certainly is, but Jerel and I are not going this time. Dion's got Dillon 56-42. We could see a shootout here. Larry likes Loris 35-21. Courtney's also taking Loris 35-28. I think really you got two great quarterbacks with Jerel and Sam Funktalia going at it. Malik says, y'all got to come down to Dillon outside here. They've got size. I feel like it's more of like a not as experienced up front, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Malik is what Loris has up front. So we shall see how it shakes out. It should be a fantastic 3A matchup on Friday. Any other comments, Jerel, from you or the chat or John, you and listen to? I thought we could talk about this game for 25, 30 minutes if we wanted to, really.
Certainly,
Yeah.
Joe. Let's got one more prediction.
Tim says Wildcats 42-21. Big win for Dillon.
That'd be impressive.
So, yeah, let's keep it rolling, guys.
Our fourth CONA game of the week, a big 5A matchup, another game that I think is the de facto region title here, John, and that's the Berkeley Stags at 4-1, traveling to take on the 4-1 Stratford Knights. Both teams won losses to Somerville, so we'll see how they match up. Berkeley, a 54-0 win over St. James last week, averaging 40 points per game on offense, 20 allowed on defense. Quarterback Henry Rivers is back healthy now. Last week, 14 for 16, 236, 4 touchdowns. He's a dual threat guy when needs to be. Running backs L.J. Washington, Caden Foxworth get it done on the ground. Receiver John Cleveland, 6 rated, 2 touchdowns last week. John Mitchell and Elijah Mitchell also weapons for them. Offensive lineman Zion Britt leads that group. Defensively, Shrine Bowler Jihad Sneed and the defensive lineman Landon Jackson are the big players on defense for Coach Lodge. Stratford off of a bye, averaging 47 on offense, 15 on defense. The Shrine Bowler Jakin Davis, 10 touchdown passes, only 1 pick this year, along with 7 rushing touchdowns so far. Running back Malik McGowan averaging 8.5 per tote at 7 TDs. Receiver Jaquan Crosby, defensively led by Clemens, Gibbs, and Davis. Also, Marcus Henderson for Berkeley is a big player on defense as well for them. Last year, Berkeley won 30-22, John. Who do you like in this 5A matchup, man? This could be another all-timer, it feels like right now.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is a really exciting game. And, this is, Berkeley they've been good for the last couple of years. They got the experienced quarterback. They're in a good position. They expect to be here. Stratford's kind of come back on the scene this year.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe their most impressive game was the first game where they lost in a tight one with Somerville. It was a 1-point game going to the fourth quarter. They had a good chance to win this ball game. And I am, we're learning more about teams as the year goes. And we didn't really know what to think about Daniel to start the year off. Stratford beats them by a couple scores, in Central. We're like, maybe Daniel's not very good. And I've seen Daniel play a little bit this year. I have my doubts. But, boy, you talk about a team that wants to get you to the fourth quarter and then absolutely crush your dreams. That's Daniel. And Stratford didn't give him a chance.
Yeah.
I think that win for them is very, very impressive. Not only did they beat Daniel, they went across the state and beat them in a building that they don't normally lose in. I think this Stratford team is for real. I think Stratford wins this game. I like that they get to play this one at home. I think we're going to – if Stratford really wants to be taken – I'm taking them serious. If they want the rest of the state to take them serious, you win this game Friday night, and I think you get a lot more. You get a lot of that respect that you deserve. But Berkeley's very good. They're very talented. And just how we talked about before with Loris, they got some good experience, especially at the position that matters the most at quarterback. So that is – if Berkeley wins, I think that's why they win the game, because of the experience and because of Rivers. But give me Stratford. I think Stratford's going to win this game. I think they're a really good football team. Really good football team.
I think both quarterbacks are great. Rivers is probably a Shrine Bowler next year. He's a junior this year. Jake and Davis is a Shrine Bowler this year for Stratford. Two really good quarterbacks. That's why both offenses are averaging over 400 yards per game, because they have good trigger men there. And that's even with Rivers out for a game or two there for Berkeley as well. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, John, with these teams want to be taken seriously, because right now, I don't know why, but they're not. Like, you compare our poll to the other polls that are out there, they're getting no votes hardly in the 5A poll. I think we've got them both in the top 5 in our 5As. I think we think these guys are both really good. Maybe we're a little bit ahead of the curve on this. I don't know, but a lot of the rest of the state apparently doesn't, and I'm very surprised by that. I think these are two of the better football teams you'll see, especially in the low country, and I think in each of their 5A classes they're going to be contenders for sure. Really excited for this one. I like both offenses a lot. I think the offenses are kind of even maybe there. I think they both got a lot of playmakers. I like Berkeley's defense a little bit more, and I think that's why I'm going to go the Stags. I like what they do a lot with Jackson and Sneed and Henderson. I think they got a little more talent on that side. That's why I'm going Berkeley in a close one, but I'm thinking 35-31, 35-28, 42-30. I think it's a higher scoring tight game. I think the Stags make one more stop on defense to win this one, but should be a fantastic game. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the Stags and the Knights down in the low country on Friday?
I'll split the vote this time and go with John this time around. I'm going with Stratford this time. Going common opponent loss. Both have played Somerville. Stratford lost by less. That's what I'm doing. So
Rivers was out. Rivers was out. Come on, Jerel.
It is what it is. So that's what I'm going. That's how evenly, Matt. I mean, obviously, we all think these teams are really, really good. So that's what I'm going here. I mean, I'm just flipping a coin, essentially. I think.
And I do want to say this: if you can't make it to this game, tune in to WTUA Power 106.1 FM or WTUARadio.com to hear Tim, Wayne, and the crew. The Berkeley radio crew does a great job calling their games. Certainly check them out online or on the radio if you're down in that area to listen to this Stags Knights game. Should be a fantastic one to catch on Friday nights.
Yeah, definitely tune into those guys. That's awesome. But yeah, I think it's a situation. This has been the most difficult, games of the week that we've had so far as far as picking. Because I've gone back and forth. I think a lot of these are legitimate coin flip games. I don't think there's a clear-cut advantage for either one, and I think this one will follow that same. That is the one thing I do like about 5A being split right now, is that both of these teams, regardless of what happens here, have the opportunity to show out in the playoffs and keep progressing. So
let me ask you this, Jerel, too, because I feel like sometimes John and I we're just out there, but you're a good voice of reason, right? Like, I try to be. Jerel. Are we missing something with these two teams, or is it everybody else is missing something with these two teams? Because, I mean, I think we all think they're really good, but, like, nobody else is talking about them, so I don't really get it.
I think there's a lack. I think there's low country, like there's a bias. Like, I feel like they don't respect that brand of football, and I think there's some really, really great teams, and I think that's what we do a good job of, is trying to highlight everyone. I think with the voters, a lot of the times they're trying to highlight their particular schools that they cover, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. They see these teams more often. Of course, there's going to be a bias. I know these guys are great journalists and things like that, but with us covering the entire state, I think that's what allows us to just say, like, hey, I think these guys are good. We've been following them for a long time. Or, like a case of a Stratford this year, it's like John mentioned, that first loss is like, that was kind of eye-opening. Like, they played Somerville really, really tight, then go up and beat Daniel. Okay, these guys are on to something. They've been building. Let's give them the respect that they deserve. So I think for us is like, we don't put the blinders on and have to focus on a specific team, a specific region, and it allows us to cover everybody equally.
And Jerel and I are really lucky, Kevin. You don't have to suffer this, but our alma maters are just not very good. So our bias doesn't really come into play that much.
I got zero bias. Yeah, my team is not very good historically and currently. So yeah, I think that's a great point there, John. Let's look at some predictions from the chat.
Let's get comments from the chat. Berkeley by 13, says John Putnam. Chris says Berkeley by 21. That'll put the state on notice right there. I feel like if the Stags do that. Brandon says, yep, Daniel was down double digits if Clinton and Seneca came back to win. Yeah, they are a tough team. You got to kill them. You got to kill them. You can't just knock them down. You got to kill those boys. And Stratford did a good job of that in that matchup. Randy says, high-scoring shootout. I could see it. Like I said, I think 40s, 30, something like that. Courtney, Berkeley 35-28, says Courtney. Zach says Stratford is a big old line. They dress a lot. Depth, they come into play the fourth quarter. Certainly could. That's a good play. And at home, too, Zach. That could be a key in that one. Chris said Berkeley's been tested more than Stratford. I think both have had a pretty solid schedule, but I think you certainly could make that point. Elk says, go with the home team. That's always a good key, too.
I do it all the time.
What? I mean, we don't know, Zach.
Who's my alma mater? The Golden Eagles, baby. We go into the SCISA ranks for that one. So
defending state champs.
That's right. That's right.
Speaking of, perfect segue. Let's keep going, guys.
Our SCISA game of the week, our fifth CONA game of the week here, we got the Bethesda Blazers 4-0 taking on the 5-1 Beaufort Academy squad there. Bethesda a bye 2 weeks ago, beat Patrick Henry 56-0, averaging 52 on offense, 11 allowed on defense. Jordan Cheever, Jordan Turner, and that group do a fantastic job there. That Blazers bunch has been really good. They played for state last year, John. Didn't quite get it done, but they beat Beaufort 40-20 in last year's matchup. On the Beaufort side, they were playing Colleton Prep last week. It got called due to the rain, so we didn't really get a winner in that one. But back in week 4, took a tough loss to Dorchester. Quarterback Nick Shuford, running back Nick Underwood, defensively Jace Paulk and Underwood lead that group there. And in my opinion, I think similar to almost like Loris earlier, where Bethesda has a lot of names that have played a lot of football. I think they're very explosive, very athletic. I like the Blazers going on the road and winning this football game. I think they are really good. That's why they're probably number 1 in our poll right now in their SCISA 2A rankings. But I think Bethesda wins this football game. Who do you like, John, here in the SCISA ranks?
I agree with you. I think, as we just talked about, it's hard to go against the home team when you get two good teams playing one another. But I think, that's like you said, I think they're just a little bit better. They've got a little more experience under their belt, and they're a really, really, really good team.
Yeah,
I like them to win this. I like them to hold that top spot with a win this Friday.
I like that. Jerel, who do you like in the SCISA game of the week, Bethesda or Beaufort?
Yeah, give me Bethesda. I mean, they've just year in and year out. They've been so good the last few years, and I think they're going to be able to maybe get over the hump this year and really, contend for that state championship. But I like Bethesda in this one.
Perfect. Jerel, any comments from the chat on this game or just in general? I saw a few floating around that I'm hoping you're going to put up here. Somebody said that one team that we talked about should kill the other, and I would love to get some clarity on that. I don't know if you saw that one come through a minute ago or not.
Okay. Oh, let me go back through. I don't really see it right here.
We'll just pop anything up as we go, and we'll talk through it.
Yeah, for sure. Here we go.
How we felt Latta, Carvers Bay money run. So if you missed that was the first game of the week we broke down. So once we get done, you can go back to the beginning of the show. Should be a great game. I think we've got 2 Latta picks and 1 Carvers Bay pick, I believe, in this one. I think it's how I got Carvers Bay. John Jerel got Latta.
I got Latta.
Yeah. Should be a great game, a fantastic 1A game. 2 really good teams there for Coach Osmond and Coach Richard. Definitely go check that out. Malcolm says, tough loss to North Augusta. We're not done. Yeah, no doubt. You guys be figuring you'd be just fine. Obviously, with Mike Doe running the ball, you're going to be fine against anybody. He's got to figure out the defense a little bit there. But the Yellow Jackets will certainly be a tough out for anyone here in 4A as we continue to roll.
Yeah, I'm missing your comment, so we'll see. We'll see which one. You got to tell me who you're seeing.
I believe someone said Dillon should smoke Loris, and I would just love to hear the background on that. I think
there it is.
Thomas, give me some feedback on that, man. I think we all love both these teams, but it's just hard to say they should smoke them. That's a surprise to me that somebody would say that. If you've watched and followed,
I'm not betting on that.
No,
especially with Loris winning that game last year.
Yeah.
So.
Don't tell Loris.
But that'll be a fun one to follow, man. So maybe they do. Maybe they would. I mean, crazy things happen in the White Walls, that's for sure. And you got a stud quarterback certainly could happen. We have not gotten to 3A yet. We'll get to that here in a little bit. We're about to go into 5A. We just finished our CONA games of the week. Once again, our 5 CONA games of the week, we had Carvers Bay at Latta, Strom Thurmond at Batesburg-Leesville, Loris at Dillon, Berkeley at Stratford, and then Bethesda at Beaufort. Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program. Then we'll come back and start going through the rest of the statewide slate, starting in 5A.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopaedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
All right, John, let's take a look at the rest of the statewide slate, starting in 5A.
Yeah, we'll start in the low country, in the PD. Grand Strand. I want to get it right. Carolina Forest hosting SCISA.
That Carolina Forest team has been red hot, man. They played some really good football. Their one loss just to Irmo. Love what Coach Morse is doing there. Jaron Fox at running back's a stud. Want to shout out River Thane, the tight end for them. He does a great job for the Panthers as well. It's a good group there as always with the Panthers.
Yeah, they're going to roll in that one. In the Midlands, White Knoll will host River Bluff. Easley will be at home against a really good Greenville team. Riverside hosting Burns.
Burns looking to bounce back. Tough loss to Dorman last week at home. Got to get the run game going. They could not run it last week. It was kind of surprising in that game.
We've got the Dam game coming up. Irmo hosting Lexington over at WC Hawkins.
Irmo, those guys have been impressive each and every week. I mean, yeah. I don't know what else we can say about the Yellow Jackets, man. They are really good. They're looking the part of a state title contender. Lexington, they got a young bunch there for Coach Young. They're getting better, but I think Irmo can almost name their score this week, it feels like.
Yeah, not much drop-off for the Yellow Jackets this year. One of our CONA games of the week we talked about earlier, Stratford hosting Berkeley. We've got Blythewood at home against Lugoff-Elgin.
I like that game. That could be a lot of points in that one, John. Lugoff-Elgin has put up a lot with Shamil Sadiq's done a great job out wide for them. Blythewood has scored football as well. I think we could see a high-scoring matchup here, and I think Lugoff-Elgin's a better football team.
They've been an impressive group this year. They've improved. I looked through what transpired in the Sumter game last week. They just couldn't get a stop. Every time Sumter touched the ball, they scored. And it was a 2-score game.
Yeah.
Lugoff didn't go away. 57-42 track meet. If they can develop a little more consistency, they're going to be a good group. They've still got to get that down. They're a little inconsistent from week to week. Blythewood's a decent team. They're both 3-3. It's a big game for playoff implications for both of these squads. Wade Hampton, they'll be at home against Spartanburg. Clover hosting Northwestern.
A Clover team we mentioned earlier to Armani, a great comeback win over Fort Mill. But now you get a different animal in Northwestern this week. The Trojans are going to light the scoreboard. That's what they do every week. I think that bunch for Coach Walford are on a mission now. They're a really good football team. I like Clover as well, but I think Northwestern is too much firepower right now. I think the Trojans roll again.
Yeah, even with that said, also win by Clover. I expected Fort Mill to win that game. Clover, they did a great job. They played full 48 minutes and came out with the W.
Mm-hmm.
Somerville, they'll be at home against RB Stall. Cane Bay at home against Lucy Beckham. Boiling Springs on the road traveling to Dorman.
A potential letdown spot for the Cavs. A big win last week against Burns on the road. You play a Boiling Springs team that's a little bit down from last year. Could be a tough spot there for Coach Morse's bunch, but I think he'll have him coached up. Nick Neaton's done a fantastic job on offense running the football for them. Contavious Anderson on defense has really kind of set the tone there for the Cavs. I think they win again, but that's a good football team, and that was an impressive win last week to me.
Yeah, I was very impressed by Dorman. They've got a really good group over there this year. North Myrtle Beach at home against Conway. St. James will be hosting Myrtle Beach. Goose Creek on the road against Wando. Goose Creek having a hard time this year. A little surprising there. Dutch Fork at home against Chapin. Spring Valley will travel to Ridgeview. Hillcrest, this is an interesting game here. Hillcrest hosting TL Hanna. I watched that Hillcrest Greenwood game. I like that quarterback. I know you saw Hillcrest earlier this year too. Good quarterback.
Yes.
And defensively, they can play. Those guys they get after it a little bit. There's a little inconsistency, I thought, in that Greenwood game with them. They gave up a lot of big plays. But Hillcrest is a little bit they're a sneaky group and a good quarterback. TL Hanna, they're still hard to figure out. They're 4-1 though. They're still got a great record. But yeah, this is tell you what, Jerel, you talk about a coin flip kind of game. I'm not sure what we're going to get from either one of these teams on Friday. This will be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, you mentioned Hillcrest. I mean, Jackson Free at quarterback's a stud, can run it, he can throw it. I mean, that's a team to look out for. I think they're good this year. I think next year, these guys kind of grow up. They could really be a big-time contender. But yeah, I think you're right. The defense has been kind of, up and down for them, it feels like. But then TL Hanna, 2 weeks ago, they beat an undefeated Greenwood team. Then last week, they go to overtime with Malden, a team that Hillcrest beat by, multiple scores. So they're tough to figure out. Like you said, I do worry with the inconsistency for the Rams against a rushing attack like TL Hanna, where you have to be very disciplined. You have to be right gap, right zone every time. You can't have those breakdowns on defense. That does scare me a little bit, but I do think Hillcrest has the offense to kind of keep them in this football game and maybe win this game. This has been a game that I feel like we've seen a couple times the last few years. It always kind of came down to the region title between these two a few years ago. Obviously, it felt like I think the Rams have a real shot at home to win this one. Chandler Stadium, a good environment. Should be a fun matchup. I'm going to take Hillcrest because I just can't figure out TL Hanna. I don't know what to put them. I think Hillcrest at home wins this game. Noah says that should be a good one. I think it should be as well, Noah. And then, so a minute ago, a comment from Joey. Sorry, go ahead, Jerel. Pop in.
No, I was going to say, Hillcrest Hanna, this is a game that we've had game of the week a bunch of times. So this was definitely one of those ones where it could be very, very good. I think it's going to be tight as well. And again, another coin flip game. Should be a lot of fun.
And I don't have the stat in front of me, but Jeff Smalt does a great job on Twitter doing stats for Hillcrest. I believe he said the winner of this Hanna-Hillcrest game has won the region, I think, the last 5 years in a row, something like that.
I believe that.
Crazy. So certainly could hold true this year. We'll see how it shakes out, but should be a fun one. And and I think Joey Conway mentioned Chapin and Dutch Fork. Dutch Fork coming off the bye. They're going to be wanting to get out some anger after that tough loss to Oceanside 2 weeks ago. Chapin's still looking for their first win. They've been kind of struggling right now. Hadn't quite got it figured out. Yeah, I think Dutch Fork rolls in that one, but a good region matchup there if you want to keep going now, John.
Yeah, that'll be everybody in green gets to play. Staying in Greenville County, JL Man will host Woodmont. Sumter at home against West Florence.
West Florence head coach Chad Wilkes, former assistant for Barnes there at Sumter. So kind of going home there, be a fun matchup there. I think Sumter a better football team. Franklin Richardson gets it done every week, it feels like, for them.
Gaffney on the road against Eastside.
Is that a potential trip spot there, you think, John? Eastside, I think they're improved this year. They played tight against Spartanburg a couple weeks ago, and they get Gaffney at home. Gaffney off of a big win last week. I'm not calling for an upset, nothing like that, but I feel like this is you got to pay attention. If you're Gaffney, you got to play football. You got to play solid football this week.
I think it's the other way around.
Really?
I think Gaffney is finally there's less variables with the program right now. I think they're more established at the court. Hey, I'll just say it, at the quarterback position, and that's a big deal. I think Gaffney is now that win last week told me, hey, this program is more comfortable now. I think Gaffney, I'm not going to say they roll. I think they win comfortably.
Yeah. Is that what we think, though? I mean, I still think there's some question marks. That's the good thing about Gaffney is they have so much involvement. We saw the stats, and they were not very impressive offensively. I still think there's some ironing out that has to be done for this Indians program, especially on offense.
Yeah, they got a bunch of guys that have gotten hurt and have new guys filling in. They got the running back spot, trying to figure out the running back spot. In the second half, they really kind of leaned on Spartanburg, ran it well. So maybe they just stick more to their run game this week and just kind of do the full game. We'll see. We know they can play defense. We know that they always can. So I like Gaffney in that one, but just, interested to see what you guys thought. John says Gaffney rolls. Patrick says no chance as well. Eastside's got a dog at running back, says Zach. Yeah, Lucas Tankersley, one of our players a couple weeks ago. He gets it done on the ground for sure.
Yeah, you know where he's from. That's why.
Let's keep going now, John.
5-0 Indian Land team. They'll be hosting Nation Ford. Big win for Indian Land last week. They really put it on Rock Hill.
Yeah, they look the part, man. I'm just waiting on I don't know what to make of them still, because they're 5-0, they haven't beat the best teams yet. Obviously, they still got to play Clovers, still got to play Northwestern. So we'll see. But they got tons of talent. We know with Patterson back there in the secondary on offense too. He's a great player for Coach Hastings' bunch.
We got Fort Dorchester at home against Ashley Ridge. James Island hosting West Ashley. We just talked about Rock Hill hosting Fort Mill. Sneaky good game here. I think we got two pretty solid teams. I kind of like Fort Mill in this one, but Rock Hill's at home playing there District 3. It'll be an interesting game. It'll be a good game to go to. And then to close out 5A, you've got Malden hosting Greenwood.
A Greenwood team that bounced back last week. Nice win over Hillcrest after the tough loss to TL Hanna 2 weeks ago. A Malden group that is very scrappy, John. They've gotten better and better with Coach Cook there. And I don't know if it's this week. I do feel like they are a team that can knock somebody off this year. I don't know if it's this week. I don't know, but they're a scrappy bunch. They've got some really good playmakers on both sides of the football. They can win a game they probably aren't supposed to. I don't know if it'll be Greenwood, but just a team you can't sleep on. They're a legit squad this year.
Yeah, I like that Greenwood team, but I noticed last week they have a hard time, or they had a hard time running the ball up the middle against Hillcrest. And then also I noticed on defensively, their secondary, and I don't know if it's what they do every week or if it was just against Hillcrest, but they play a really, really soft zone. They play really far off the line of scrimmage. If Malden if they've got a short, quick passing game that they can have some confidence in, they can move the ball against this Greenwood team if they see the same defense that was on tape against Hillcrest last week.
Jerel, comments from you or the chat on 5A GHS Eagles on WZLE says, go Eagles. Looking forward to sending out tomorrow's game notes. Yes, you guys do a great job too on the game notes. Appreciate you including us in that each and every week. Irmo by 30 says Dion. That sounds about right, probably. Yep. John Dorman by 14. I think that's right, too. Maybe more. Thomas, a Somerville game over at the 5-minute mark of the first quarter. Yeah, I think Somerville over Stall. Going to be an easy win there for the Green Wave, I believe, Thomas. Mark says, Ridgeview got something to say in 5A. I like that Ridgeview team, man. A couple tough losses, but to really good teams in Northwestern and Dutch Fort. Coach Howard's bunch is the real deal. Dion's got Dutch Fort 35-0.
It's going to be more. That might be the first half score.
John says Greenwood by 17. Certainly the talent to do it. Tristan Lewis is a stud back there. Ryan says Rock Hill beats Fort Mill. That's a team where I feel like Fort Mill, really good defense. Rock Hill, really good offense. So those two match up there. Kofi says Malden's playing ball. Malden by 7. I like it, Kofi. Good pick there. Deshandra says Camden. We'll get to the Bulldogs here in a minute in 4A, Deshandra.
And yeah, Chris and Patrick, I know y'all big Gaffney fans. We're not hating. We're just pointing out, man, I think it's a situation where you're in one of the toughest regions, Region 2 5A. So you got to get that stuff ironed out. I think the competition, even from the bottom, is starting to rise. Like you look at an Eastside bunch, they're much improved. You see Bowling Springs over the last couple of years. They've played a lot of good football. So I think it's a situation where the competition's getting elevated. You guys obviously have had a little bit of turnover on the offensive side. So that's all we're pointing out. And, of course, you got a first-year head coach. So there's a lot that's going on there. But let's go to 4A, guys.
John, let's take a look down at the 4A ranks now.
We've got one game on Thursday night. We've got North Augusta hosting Aiken. And then
I
when
think
we
it's a good bounce back spot for North Augusta. You know, Aiken's much improved, but I still think the Yellow Jackets too much talent. I think they win again on Friday or Thursday, excuse me.
And flipping over to Friday, Fountain Inn hosting Lawrence. Seneca looking to bounce back a game that, boy, they really feel like they could have won against Daniel last Friday. They're playing a 4-1 Blue Ridge team. Got to be on it. Got to be on it Friday night this week as well. West Side at home against Southside.
West Side, big win last week. They got off the snide. I think they got homecoming this week against Southside. But the Rams, they'll be getting better and better as we roll into region play. Travis says, shout out West Side, the first win, start region this week. Yeah, it is homecoming. Yeah, exactly. So it should be a fun one. Another easy win, I think, for the Rams this week, Travis.
Hartsville will travel to Lower Richland. Camden had somebody talking about the Bulldogs. Camden welcomes in South Point Friday to Zimp Stadium. Camden better hope this game didn't go like it did last time South Point came to Zimp. They did whatever they wanted to. I'm worried this game's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, Ryan says South Point by 21. Camden's in trouble. Yeah, and I think, the Bulldogs, a lot of their offense this year has been Grayson Remp throwing it around to Drakeford and Will Honert or Honert. Sorry if I got your name right. Sorry, buddy. A lot. And I think, like we said a couple weeks ago, I don't think you beat South Point by throwing the football. I don't think that's how you're going to beat them. So you're going to have to get Boykin going in the run game. I think the Stallions a little too much firepower. And I know Jerel. I know who Jerel's picking in this game because Jerel saw this game last year, and he is scarred for life by that matchup.
I'm sorry, Deandra, and all of our loyal, Jessica, all of our loyal Camden followers. That game last year, that I've never seen a game get out of hand that quickly. So I hope it's much more competitive. I mean, we were looking for places to go halfway through the second quarter. That's how bad it was. So new year, I agree. Let's hope it's competitive. I am cheering for a really good football game. So yeah, and people are making their score predictions after last year.
There's a lot of the same players on the South Point team, though. It's the problem.
I think this Camden team is much improved.
Yeah. A little bit more west in Columbia, we've got AC Floor hosting Lancaster. Down in the Low Country, Hilton had a big matchup here. Hilton Head hosting 5-0 Bishop England. Huge reaching game here.
Almost one of our games of the week. A game that was 21-7 Bishop England last year. They forced 5 turnovers to win that football game. The Valley Bishops allowing just 7 points per game. Quarterback Quinn Mahoney, 4 touchdowns last week. Zachary Baylog out wide as a player for them. They got the Tonin brothers, Chase and Trevor on defense for Coach Hall's group there. Hilton Head, a big win over Bluffton, 38-28. Quarterback Derek Rasnewski, running back Javen Risher, running back linebacker Thad Zarnecki all over the field. I like this game a lot. It's a really fun one. I think Bishop England a little too much on both sides of the football, but should be a fantastic game down there in the Low Country.
It will be a great one. May River at home against Colleton County. Gilbert travels to South Aiken. Brooklyn Casey at home against Gray.
A great collegiate team that has figured it out. Xavier Wright's playing well at quarterback. Trayvon Williamson, Royce Williamson. They're getting it done right now for Coach Bryant's team. They've gotten it figured out. They're playing good football. Yeah,
they look very dangerous, especially after last week. Greer at home against Pickens. Bluffton hosting Beaufort, looking to bounce back there for Bluffton. Wren at home against Emerald. South Florence will travel to Darlington. Daniel at home against Berea. That's probably homecoming. Should be. Richland Northeast at home against Dreer. Pendleton travels to all right, I'm not going to say that. That's too much. We'll say Travelers Rest at home against Pendleton. Crestwood at home against Wilson.
That's a big region game there. A Wilson team that has surprised a lot of folks this year. Both of them 4-2 overall right now. That's going to go a long way in seeding for home playoff games for sure. I don't know what to make of that one because Crestwood has kind of let me down a little bit this year, while Wilson has really surprised me. So it should be a fun game over there in the Sumter area.
Yeah, Crestwood's got the talent, but I trust Wilson in this game a little bit more. It will be a good game, though. And then to close out 4A, Midland Valley travels to Airport.
Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the 4A slate. Travis is Region 1 4A coming down to West Side Arena Halloween night. Yes, I believe so. It certainly will.
I like
Ryan. Defense best in the state. They are legit, man. They fly around. They got studs at every level, it feels like. Brandon says Fountain Inn big over Lawrence. Lawrence has been outscored 233 to 27 in 5 games this year, including 3 shutouts. And not only that, Fountain Inn's good. I think you couple that with a struggling Raiders program does not look good.
I should have put that up. That's Brandon taking a shot at a rival there while they're down. I should have put that up there.
Ryan says, Gatchy starting to take shape. Defense looks good. Yeah, defense, good game last week against a solid Spartanburg squad with Burke and Lynch and those guys holding them down. It was really impressive there for the Indians. Malcolm says, not dangerous. Didn't have the person right on our DBs. Okay, so the Yellow Jackets can make some defensive back changes, it feels like there. But Great Collegians, they're a good team. They're a good team. I'll put it that way. Wolfman says North Augusta, Aiken on Thursday. Yep, got that one kicking off the week there. Valley by 28, says Dion over Airport. That sounds about right. I think it could be a big game for Xavier, Jeter, and crew.
Let's go to 3A, guys.
Looking down at 3A now, John.
First game on the docket, Crescent at home against Walhalla. Carolina High will be at home against Palmetto. Newberry hosting Silver Bluff. Here's a battle of 2 undefeateds here. Big time game here. Orangeburg-Wilkinson traveling to Fox Creek. We're going to find out a lot about both of these teams in this one.
Yeah, another game we consider for game of the week. I mean, you got 2 undefeated teams here, but then you look at it, and neither one of them have really played anybody. It's kind of hard to figure out how good they are. Like Orangeburg-Wilkinson had a really good year last year, so I feel like I'm more confident in them, just what they're bringing back. Quarterback Brendan Peoples, 294, 2 touchdowns last week. Chris Glover, 2 touchdowns as well. The new addition, Dalen Hall-Twanger, has been awesome at receiver and DB. Desi Miller out wide as well. Defensively led by Arkansas commit Jordan Avenger and Glover on that side of the football. Fox Creek, quarterback Brandon Wallace, 2 touchdown rushes last week. Price and Crawford, 217, 5 touchdowns on the ground. Defensively, Wallace, Howe, and McQuay Quiller had a pick last week for them as well. I just trust the Bears team, I think, more for Coach Carter right now. I like Avenger a lot. Hall-Twanger's been a stud. He was at Hammond. He's a stud now at Orangeburg-Wilkinson. I think they've got too much firepower. I like the Bears to continue rolling. I think they can stay undefeated. I think Fox Creek takes their first loss this week.
Like, what do you guys hear? I think our CSRA people need to let us know. Slide in the DMs, give us a phone call, something like that. Hit the tip line, go on the website. Tell us about this Fox Creek team. I mean, we do not know as much. New in the offseason, they had a lot of influx of talent coming in, but I really feel like the record looks great, but how good are they really? I mean,
if you look at the schedule, they beat Dixie, McCormick, Williston, Elko from South Carolina, which are all lower-class teams they should beat, and they've beat Glen Hills and Josie, I think, out of Georgia. I don't know anything about either one of those, so I don't know. Sure. But yeah, I think you're right. Like, if somebody's got a better insight, certainly let us know. But I think I like the Bears because I'm a little more trusted with what Coach Carter's doing there after last year for sure.
Marlboro County will head over to Aner. Walcomo's at home against Georgetown. Familiar matchup here. St. Joseph's will head across town, not even across town, to play Christ Church.
This Christ Church team has hit their stride lately. A nice win this week over Hampton County. You got the run gun going, Michael Martin, Judd winning through the air to Ant Atkins and Jude Hall. A lot of playmakers for them. They've got, obviously, Barnett up front. Victor Sanders as well, I think, is up front for them. Coach Hatfield's group's playing good football. I like them in this rivalry game here to win, and I think they're a team that is kind of late in the weeds in 3 upper state. But I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with here down the stretch.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mountain View at home against Union. Belton Honeypath, they will host West Oak. One of our CONA games of the week this week, Dillon at home against Loris. Oceanside hosting Hanahan. Powdersville on the road against Southside Christian.
Could be another high-scoring game there, I feel like, between those two guys.
Yeah, could be. Swansea, undefeated Swansea on the road against Keenan.
Tony says Powdersville should be on a winning streak starting this Friday. Had a bye last week. Play Southside Christian Friday at Southside Go Patriots. Yeah, should be a good game with Tony. I think, like I said, it could be a lot of points in that matchup.
Broome will be at home against Woodruff. And we see North Charleston hosting Battery Creek to close out the 3A schedule.
Also, I want to say in that Broome-Woodruff game, Woodruff a kind of a not surprising loss because Wren's a good football team, but the score line was kind of surprising last week. Broome looks like they have moved Tyquan Booker back to running back, where he was awesome last year. So glad to see him back carrying the rock again. So they're a dangerous team. Don't sleep on Broome, but I think Woodruff gets right this week. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on 3A. Courtney says, I know who is the real deal. Big Bears, nasty and on a mission. Yeah, BHP is blowing everybody out. And I think they continue this week. West Oak team is much improved, but not quite on that level. Randy says Christchurch over St. Joe's by 21. Has to play good up front against the option. Yeah, that's always a tough offense. Great point there, Randy. But I think, like I said, Christchurch a little too much this year. I like the athletes they have there for the Cavs. Brandon says Newberry's real good. I don't think he'd beat Oceanside Lower State. Looking like Oceanside BHP rematch in 3A. Certainly could. A lot of good 3A teams, upper and lower, honestly. So it's going to be a fun playoff once we get going there. Brandon says MVP big over Union. Yeah, I agree with you on that. John says Mountain View by 50 over Union. That's maybe low, honestly. John says Laura's 2 in a row over Dillon. I'm on your side, John. So let's do that. Let's make it happen. Thomas says, hey, I'll just move past the Hanahan game. I'll just play and hope my nephews do well. Hanahan's a tough bunch this year, man. They play really hard. I love the quarterback. Julius Hippen's still there for the Hawks. Oceanside's a different animal. That's going to be a tough one to keep up with, what they can do on offense and defense. Like the Hawks, probably not quite the firepower needed to take down the Land Sharks, but they're a good group there for Coach Turner. I like what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Consensus in the chat is the Fox Creek schedule has helped them, benefit in their record. So we'll see Friday night how good they are against that O-Dub bunch.
Yeah.
Let's go. Thanks.
Shout out friends of the program, Jerel, and we'll look down at 2A.
Schedule your sewer drain clearing with Preferred Home Services today. If we can't clear it, it's free.
Electrical, plumbing, cooling too.
Go, 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 Preferred!
Looking for top-notch sports gear and uniforms? Look no further than First Team Sports. With 30 years of serving the Carolinas, First Team Sports is your local full-service dealer. From youth teams to colleges, we've got you covered with team uniforms, staff apparel, Letterman jackets, sports equipment, and facility branding. Visit our local store in Greenville or firstteamsc.com. Make First Team your first choice.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax. You're with Founders.
Let's look down to the 2A slate now, John.
Leading off with 2A, we got Saluda at home against American Leadership. Barnwell is at home against Lake Marion. Hampton County at home against Edisto. Chesney on the road against Blacksburg. One of our CONA games of the week we talked about, Batesburg-Leesville hosting Strom Thurmond. Central of Pageland, big win last week over Jerel. They traveled to Beaufort Friday.
A really good Eagles team, and a lot of weapons on offense for them. I mean, they've got a ton of guys that can get it done. Coach Easton's done a great job there. They're really tough on both sides of the football. I think they're going to be a tough out. Dwayne Llewellyn, Jakari Holman in that group there, Ashton Wilson as well. I like with the Eagles. I think they win big against Beaufort on Friday.
Lake City hosting Mullins.
Mullins team
played
yesterday against Marion, so we'll see how that shakes out for the Swamp Foxes and Auks, if that hurts them or not, trying to get 2 games in a week.
And I think that was – I was following that game for a little bit. It was pretty close early on.
It was 8-0, I think, around half, and then Mullins kind of pulled away second half, I believe.
We'll have Clinton at home against Liberty. Philip Simmons hosting Woodland.
Brandon says, don't know much about Liberty. Jamaji Kareem was pretty good, made the Shrine Bowl. He's a running back there for Liberty, Coach Sutherland's group there. I mean, Liberty has had a good team the last couple of years. I don't think they're quite on Clinton's level, but they are improving. I still think Clinton wins big on Friday.
Yeah, they're just a really good team. And, I watched that Dillon game or the Daniel game, and they just give you so much to have to cover. They're athletic. They're fast. They do a lot of things really well. Philip Simmons at home against Woodland. Chester hosting Eau Claire. Mid Carolina on the road against Fairfield Central. A battle of winless teams, Marion traveling to Atlantic Collegiate. Pillions at home against 96. King Street on the road against Manning. Jerel hosting Andrew Jackson. You talk about trap games. Jerel's got to be awake for this one. They're a lot better. They're better than Andrew Jackson, but they've got to put that Pageland game away and be ready to play Friday night.
Yeah, exactly right. You can't let one loss beat you twice. And that's, from watching that game last week, like, I don't think any less of Jerel. Like, that was a 7-point game on the road. Like, both teams are really good. So that didn't, that game didn't really scare me off of the Braves at all. I still think they're really good. I think they win again on Friday.
Andrews at home against Academic Magnet. Timberland hosting Burke. And closing out the 2A slate, Chesterfield at home against the 5-1 North Central squad.
I don't know if it's called an upset or not, John, but I think Chesterfield wins that game. I think North Central's a little bit inflated due to the record, honestly. But we'll see on Friday how it shakes out.
I think their one loss is the Lamar, but, I don't disagree with you.
Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the 1A slate. Zach says everybody's averaging 53 points per game. They've got it going on offense for sure. Hampton County has some ballers. Has Randy, a class group of guys too. Yeah, Coach Hanna does a great job there, and they got a lot of talent with Grant and Singletary and whatnot. They've got some playmakers for sure. They're a tough 2A program. Allie says Barnwell or Lake Marion. I like Barnwell in this one. I know the Warhorses have kind of been struggling lately. They got a couple injuries there for Coach Smith's bunch, but I think Lake Marion is not quite as good as they are. I like Barnwell to win that football game.
Let's go down to 1A, guys.
Looking at 1A now, John.
Denmark Olar hosting Ridgeland. Abbeville is at home against McCormick. Calhoun County travels to Wilson Elko. One of those teams will get their first win of the year Friday.
That's in our pick'em too. So going to be a tough one to make a good choice there. But who's going to win, says Allie. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Neither team has really been impressive, obviously, this year so far. So we'll see how that shakes out. I don't have a pick for you right now. Sorry, Allie.
I'm just initial thought, I think Calhoun County, but I don't know. Neither one of them showed us a whole lot so far, so it's going to be a tough one to pick. Hunter Kenner Tyler at home against Wagner Sally. I'm big on this HKT team. I think they're good. I know their record's 3-2.
Did you see them last week, John?
I think Bamberg is really, really good.
John just said he's high on a team that got beat 62-8 last week.
I know. It's crazy.
John, no, they are good. No, I agree. They're good. Bamberg is a machine right now. They really are.
Decay took the L last week. It was
big L. Bamberg is scary.
They are.
Louisville traveling to C.A. Johnson. Calhoun Falls will be at home against Dixie. Ware Shoals, 5-0. Ware Shoals hosting Whitmire.
We got to start respecting that Ware Shoals team a little bit too. They played some good football this year. They haven't played the toughest schedule either, but I think Coach Dotson's doing a fantastic job there so far, man. They look the part. Got a nice win over 96 and Landrum, so we'll see what happens to get into region play. But I think that the Hornets are doing a good job.
Lamar's at home against McAfee. One of our CONA games of the week. Latta at home against Carvers Bay. Hardyville hosting that absolute machine that you talk about, Kevin Bamberg, Earhart. That game's not going to be close either. Blackville Hilda at home against Rich Spring Minetta. Bethune-Bowman on the road against Branchville. Maybe the best 1-4 team in the state, Hannah Pamplico. There goes Lakeview.
And if you're Lakeview, you got to be careful because you've already got one region lost to Johnsonville. You can't slip up, take knock. We mentioned it earlier in the CONA games of the week. The toughest 1A region in the state. You still got to play Latta. Still got to play Carvers Bay. I mean, that's a tough schedule still for the Wild Gators. You can't slip up against Hannah Pamplico. You got to get that win this week.
And they should. Yeah.
I got a bye week last week. That'll certainly help out, I believe, as well.
Military Magnet, they're at home against Baptist Hill. Lee Central hosting Great Falls. And Cross will travel to St. John's.
Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the 1A slate. Abbeville might score 70, says Dillon. They could. I think if they want to, I think they might get there. We'll see. I think Coach Nichols will probably call the dogs for that point. Wagner by 14, says Dion, a team that's been struggling with the Wagner Sally squad has. Brian says, let's go Chesney. Chesney's a good football team, man. I say it every week. I like what Coach Chappell's doing there for sure with the Eagles. Carvers Bay by 7, says John, one of our CONA games of the week. Brandon says, do y'all think Bamberg can beat Abbeville? And that's a question that I've kind of struggled with this week as we were doing our polls. I don't know. I will say Bamberg.
We ain't got to answer that
really, really
for a
good,
long time. We got 10 weeks to think about that. So
okay, we'll answer it later, Brandon. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I think they could.
No, it's those are two very good teams, so it's exciting. And I really did. Abbeville was right there. I thought they were going to be able to knock that West Side bunch off last week.
Yeah. Anything else on the 1A slate, Jerel? Move on.
Let's go down to SCISA, guys.
Let's look down at the SCISA slate now, John.
All right, give me just a moment here. I'm falling behind. Sorry.
No, you're good.
We'll
I've actually got
lead off with Hilton Head Prep hosting PD Academy. Northwood Academy is at home against Cardinal Newman.
hats off Northwood. Ended Hammond's 28-game winning streak last week. The Chargers are the real deal. Coach Waters doing a fantastic job there. I think all of a sudden now they are the favorite in SCISA 4A.
Very impressive. Our CONA game of the week for SCISA, Beaufort Academy hosting Bethesda. Cross Academy hosting Kings Academy. First Baptist on the road against John Paul II. St. John's Christian hosting Dillon Christian. Holly Hill Academy at home against Palmetto Christian.
The Raiders team, I want to shout out head coach Stratford. Hendricks has been sending some great stats lately for the Raiders, so shout out to him. Appreciate you taking care of us on that front as your Raiders look to be really, really good again this year.
Northside Christian, they'll be hosting the South Carolina Spartans. Carolina Academy at home against Williamsburg Academy. Pinewood Prep will travel to Wilson Hall.
3A state title rematch from last year, John, in that game there.
Lawrence Manning is at home against Hammond. Hammond trying to bounce back this week. Ben Lippin at home against Porter Gaud. King Academy traveling to Christian Academy. Richard Wins at home against Newberry Academy. Thomas Hayward travels to Patrick Henry. Augusta Christian is on the road against Heathwood Hall. Lee Academy hosting Dorchester Academy. 5-0 Dorchester, that is. Orangeburg Prep is at home against Spartanburg Christian. Clarendon Hall at home against Thomas Sumter. Hilton Head Christian will travel to Bullock Academy. Lawrence Academy at home against Wardlaw. Jefferson Davis will be hosting Cathedral Academy. And Camden Military travels to Trinity Collegiate.
Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the SCISA slate before we look down and move on to our next portion of the program?
Yeah, no SCISA this week, so we'll keep it rolling, guys.
Perfect. Let's shout out friends of the program. We'll come back with our polls and our pick'em, and we'll get you guys out of here.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Our pick'em brought to you by Hannah Engineering. We do 11 games each week across the state. Join it. It's on our Facebook, our Twitter. We send an email out. Love to have you be part of that. We do a couple pop-up prizes throughout the weeks, randomly here and there, and then obviously a season-long winner as well. Jerel, our week 5 winners. Pop it up there for us.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get it pulled up. I do not see it loaded up.
It should be in there. I thought I loaded it under the media assets earlier. Let me check. Yes, I got it right here. Week 5, we had... You're good. Daryl with 10. Brandon, Clemson, Marvin, Ricardo. Jerel took it down. Jerel, you took it away from him. Marvin, Ricardo. Oh, that's overall. No, that's right. Yeah. Marvin, Ricardo with 9, and Ryan with 9. And a ton of folks with 8. So great job for a lot of folks there. Kevin with 9, John with 8, Jerel with 6, leading us a tough week for some, but a fun week in our pick'em last week in week 5. And our overall leaders, Jerel as well. Who do we have there?
And this is with the low week drop now.
Yes, we have Ryan with 43, the other Ryan with 42, Andrew 42 as well, and a bunch of 41s down to 39. I'm with 41 in our group, Jerel 39, John 36, with a long way to go. Once again, our pick'em brought to you by Hannah Engineering. You can easily join each and every week on our social media pages. We will do that for you. But now our polls brought to you by First Team Sports Drill. Do you want to start with 1A or 5A and work our way through?
Let's go 5A. I think we did 1A last time.
I'll let you roll that. Our 5A slate. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. D1, 5A. We had Dutch Fork, 2 first-place votes. Somerville coming in at 2 with a first-place vote. James Island at 3, Stratford at 4, and Ridgeview at 5, with Dorman receiving votes. I think this is pretty much the same poll from last week, so not much movement there. And we'll just go 5A D2. I think it's the same poll as well. Irmo at the 1 spot with 2 first place. Northwestern at 2 receiving a first place vote. Berkeley at 3, Hannah at 4, and Greenville at 5, with Greenwood receiving votes.
Yeah, not a lot of change there. I thought about maybe bumping Dorman into D1, but didn't really know who I wanted to take out. But that was the big change for me there. But pretty stable in 5A.
Yeah, I was struggling with Hannah. That wasn't the best performance, but we decided to leave them there. We as in me when I made my poll. So, but again, like we were talking about earlier, we got this Stratford bunch and this Berkeley bunch ranked pretty high, so that should be a good matchup. So I think there will definitely be some movement depending on the outcome of that game.
Let's look down at 4A and 3A now, Jerel.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. At 4A, we have South Point, surprise, at number 1, getting all the first place votes. South Florence at 2. A little bit of a shakeup here once we get past that with that big game between Gray Collegiate and North Augusta. Bishop England slots up to 3. Gray Collegiate, their first appearance in our poll, at 4. And we have a tie for 5th with Camden and North Augusta, with AC Flora back in receiving the votes category. So a little bit of a shakeup here, especially with that big North Augusta Gray Collegiate game on Friday.
In 4A, I felt like there's a couple more teams too. I looked at Hilton Head. I looked at Wren as well as a possibility after their big win. That was a tough one for me to figure out kind of the back half of this week, it felt like.
There's some really good talent in 4A.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously Gray being the big mover. That was a hell of a performance by them this past weekend. And because it kind of been, kind of static there. We had North Augusta just slotted in that 3 spot. So with that shakeup, kind of moved things around. But going to 3A, again, we got Oceanside Collegiate at first place with 3 votes. Newberry at 2. BHP at 3, Loris at 4, and Mountain View at 5. This one's got to change, mainly because Woodruff kind of slots down a little bit, so we get a little bit more clarity with that game. No shade to Woodruff. That's a really good Wren team, but I think that score line kind of changed out the 3A poll for us.
Yep. I think that's the only change that I think we saw was them falling out this week. But
and again, we might see a shakeup too. That big game with Loris and Dillon, so there's a lot that can change here next week.
Looking at 2A and 1A now.
Obviously, big shakeup here. Central slides up to the number 1 spot, receiving all of the first place votes. Sherraw sneaks back in at 2. That was a fantastic game. Hate that I missed out. Glad that you were able to see that one, Kevin. Strom Thurmond at 3. Fairfield Central at 4. Clinton at 5, with Hampton County receiving votes in 2A.
Yeah, and for me, I think this week, if Batesburg-Leesville wins, they'll obviously pop back in there. For me, Clinton is starting to kind of climb the ladder back up to the top. It feels like they're really kind of figuring it out. But, I had Sherraw at 1 last week, and I was like, I can't drop more than 1 spot. They went on the road and lost by a touchdown in a 4-quarter game. I mean, I don't know how you don't give them some respect of being at least 2 or 3, maybe 4 at the worst, I feel like, in that poll.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I mean, leaving Sherraw up there. I think Thurmond, we learned a lot about them this week as well. So Clinton continues to rise. Like, that's the one. They always start off shaky. That's the one where they just
for a non-region.
They play such a tough schedule non-region. So, we like to give guys credit for winning over who they play. But Clinton's a team, obviously, it's a force to be reckoned with. Going to 1A, big question here. Got Abbeville at the top spot still. No shame in that one. I really thought they were going to pull that upset off against Westside. Bamberg just continuing to roll there in the lower state. Cross at 3, Carvers Bay at 4, Johnsonville at 5. Again, with Latta receiving a vote. So we're going to see some shakeup this week with these teams playing, especially that Carvers Bay Latta game.
Yeah, 1A was tough as well in the back end. I thought about, Latta. I thought about Louisville. Couple different guys. Lakeview could have been maybe in that last spot. So definitely some things to keep an eye on in 1A this week.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that especially like this. I think really I don't really see Abbeville or Bamberg getting tripped up. I think they're going to continue to play well this season. But I think that 3 through 5, we're going to see a lot of movement, especially with that Region 6 being so tough in 1A.
Another team I did think about too, Scotts Branch. They've got win over Manning and Lakeview. They look really good. Thought about them in that 5 spot. Just didn't quite pull the trigger this week. They've got to match up with Cross next week in a region game. That'll tell us a lot about those programs. But any comments from the chat on any of our polls, Jerel, before we wrap up here?
Yeah, of course we got some comments. Why not?
Got to move us to 2, says Courtney. I don't know, man. I like this Newberry bunch. I like this Oceanside bunch as well. But we'll see. I mean, I think both teams are really good. Obviously, a lot of football still to be played, so we'll see how it shakes out here over the next few weeks.
Yeah, not hating, just a difference of opinion.
Ron says, scoreline, hurt Woodruff against Rim, but BHP 3 averaged 40 points a game with the starters out mid-quarter. Hey, if you want. We're not hating on BHP at all. I think we think they're pretty good, man. I don't know where you want them. I don't know how you make a case for them as number 1. I could see maybe making a case for them ahead of Newberry, I guess, if you want to say that. But I wouldn't be upset with a number 3 ranking for sure. I think we were very high on the Bears. Brown says Chesney will enter the poll soon, possibly next week. Hey, I like the Eagles bunch. Keep chirping on them. I like it. They're a good team.
Kelly always making us think. I think she thinks the entire show of these great questions for us.
If we can make a fantasy team of high school football, who will be your first pick? My first pick. Do I get the first pick? Who's going first?
I'm going first. Joshua Dobson, cornerback from
that's fine. You can have him. Who is you or me?
Yeah, I'm taking the DB there. I guess that's fantasy. I don't know why I said
that's
defensive player playing.
That's
fantasy.
not who I was going to pick.
Who you got?
John, your pick. Go for it.
I'm going Monavian.
God, that was my pick. That was my pick.
Big play, Aiden.
Great locker room guy. He's talented.
That's who I want him, man. I think he's the go-to. He's the one. You know what? I'll take Kenton Caldwell, Newberry. He's putting up tons of numbers, so I'm gonna go for the touchdowns there. So I'm gonna go that route.
Taking my pick back. Let me get Michael Doe.
You got a defensive guy already. You did it.
Michael Doe.
That's a good pick.
Nobody's gonna take Currents.
Oh yeah, he's getting points on both sides. I gotta flex him. Gotta flex him. No, that's a good pick. No, it's gonna be fun. So yeah, I like the question, Kelly. Thanks a lot.
Once again, our polls brought to you by First Team Sports. Always appreciate those guys for helping us out. Want to shout out our teams of the week: Central, Gray Collegiate, and Northwood. Powered by Preferred Home Services. Our players of the week, insured by the Georgia. So we had Franklin Richardson at Sumter, Xavier Wright at Gray Collegiate, and Michael Martin at Christ Church. Appreciate the Georgia HC for shouting those guys out. Once again, shout out our teams of the week, Preferred Home Services, and Georgia HC players of the week as well. Also want to congratulate all North, South, and Tri-Bowl selections. Those are all posted now on our page. All that came out over the past week. Couple snubs as always. Always a lot of conversation, John. I know it's not a perfect science, of course, but I think there's a lot of good players across the state, and that really shows that when you see those rosters come out each year, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure. And hey, you know what? It's a great honor, but for those guys that they got left out, even more motivation to be the ultimate teammate and get your team a trophy and get some team success, because that's really what matters the most.
Certainly the case there. As always, guys, follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram. You can more at Movin Chains. MovinChains.com is our website, our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Tune in once again next week for our live preview show, 7:15 on Facebook and YouTube. We'll break down all of the high school action in week 7. We'll have great coach interviews, player interviews, all kinds of stuff throughout the week. So tune in for that. Get your Moving the Chains merch. Some great stickers right now. Order your sticker info at movinchains.com or on social media. Get your toboggans right now. We have great hats as well. Richardson hats here, gray front, black front, some great T-shirts, some great hoodies, gray hoodie, light whitish color hoodie. Order all that right now. Support the boys. Wear some merch at the games. Love to have you make this program bigger and better and really spread the word. Tell your friends so they'll tune in each and every week. I do want to say thank you to the friends at Central, Jonathan Easton, the head coach down there, Brian Horn, David Helms, Coach Poole. Got to meet a lot of great people down there last Friday. Chris Gordon, Derek Gordon, Keith Thomas, Coach Dixon was down there. Saw Coach Usher, Coach Mangum. Great talking to those folks. I really enjoyed my time in Pageland last Friday night. John, any final thoughts from you? Jerel, any thoughts from you as we wrap up our Week 6 preview show here?
Just great games all over the board, all over the state, all over the board. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, again, my message is always, if you're listening to us on Tuesday, go catch a game Thursday and Friday. So get out and support your community. Again, if you got a bye week, go see somebody else play, because there's always some good football right around the corner in the state of South Carolina. And again, YouTube, run the subs up. We're like 90 away from 1,000. So that'd be really cool if you guys could do that. Never know when Meta or Facebook's going to go offline. So make sure you subscribe to YouTube.
Certainly would appreciate that. But guys, it's been another great show. Really enjoyed it. A lot of fun talking football with you guys across the state. So enjoyed you joining us here. As always, Moving the Change is brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel, Hendricks, and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 6 preview show here on Moving the Chains, talking all things South Carolina high school football. We will catch you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin' the Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin' Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.